starts on the mound, and Volini was the Volini we'd seen a lot in our training and along the way to get him into the point where he's starting in these games. And the breaking ball, the command, the depth, it had life, it was late. I think that was probably the key to getting through it the way he did was the curveball. Slider was good. Thought he moved the fastball around well enough, so that was in play. Changeup was in play, but all in all, I thought, and it's different every time you go to the mound. Like you may leave the bullpen feeling like you have A and B, and you actually get into it and you have C and D or A and D. So you have to manage it. And Micah again did a great job of feeling the flow of the game and what the guy on the mound had, and executed it really well. I thought we made some nice defensive plays. You can kind of go around the horn. Even later in the game, there were some nice plays, even by the guys that entered the game late. I thought that was a really good sign. And when they get into the game, you want to see them execute and perform. And I don't think we missed a beat when some of those guys went in the game. Peyton Manka, you can see the upside there. He knows what he's doing. And the rehab that some of these guys have gone through, I mean, he's been rehabbing for the better part of a year and a half. David Barrett's probably been longer than that with multiple procedures to just get to the point where he can walk on the mound and pitch. So Manka was obviously very sharp. David Barrett trying to harness that little cut fastball that he had that's actually really good, and his breaking ball. And if he could get it down in the zone, then he'll be just fine. Greeny was better today. Myles, great day. Like the at-bats all day seem to be really good. You know the power potential, the physicality. The ball he hit to shortstop just as impressive to me as the ball he hit in the corner or the home run. The pick at first base late in the game, McCulley had a tricky little play at short, and Myles stayed right through that. He's worked so hard to try to learn how to play the first base position. And all in all, pleased with the game. And again, they're a competitive, good team. They've won a lot of games if you look back the last few years, and they'll do the same thing this year. So I'm proud of the way we played, and it's good to see some of the guys open it up. Myles, Max, to see him hit a ball like that. Lodis continues to deliver some pretty consistent at bats. So all in all, pleased with this.
Did Myles even get all of that one?
No, he really didn't. You'll know. Now he hit that ball good,
right,
but it was almost
a
little steep with how it came off the bat. But there's more in there. He's got power that you just, quite frankly, don't see very often. And then Chase Williams, the dynamic side of him, like we're trying to get him to manage himself and the sliding and the running and get through the games. And I hope he's okay. I haven't gotten much of an update since that happened, but it's fun to watch that kind of talent and running and get up and go and the things he does. So we were a little bit reckless on the downside of things. Like there's things we're trying to do, and we're trying to teach, and we're trying to push it a little bit, and we didn't execute some of the running and the short game stuff. We were probably 1 for 4 on actually managing some of the intricacies of the game from an offensive side, some of the smaller things that I know we need. So those are good learning moments, but we do need to be better with it.
Was that a hand with Chase sliding in, or
I think it was more shoulder.
Yeah, okay.
I think he was holding his hand, but I don't think it was really his hand. I'll go in and talk to Phil and clear here in a minute. But yeah, I don't think it was that hand. And it's risky when you dive into home plate. Like as long as the game has been played, don't dive into home plate. Well, when you're that dynamic and you see that you have a little route to get there, it's hard to not do that sometimes. And we talk about other ways to slide where you're not as vulnerable, but that's just him trying to fight and score, and those things happen.
With Volini, he had a career high in strikeouts today. Did you expect, or did you know that he could create this much swing and miss?
Well, the variety of pitches, yes, I did. And the curveball has given everybody fits. Now, I think when we were in here a week ago, he wasn't landing it and expanding down with it. He seemed to be able to do both of those today. So when it's up, you're not going to get called strikes clearly, and you're really not going to get any swings. So pivoting where you are landing that and you are able to get it down under the zone when you need to, totally different look. The fastball probably may not have been quite as sharp and commanded as he would have liked it to be, but the slider was pretty good, and so was the changeup. So there's that just pretty aggressive mix of things that makes the overall package tricky.
We're expecting Volini to go this deep in the game this week, which is
Well, when you play good defense, yeah, and you need to get some early outs, and I think he had some maybe early at-bat type outs that allowed you to get deep. Now, the pitch counts are at a point where we felt he could go 80 or 85 pitches, maybe even could have gone a little bit more. So, yeah, now how far that gets you is based on your efficiency and how you manage the counts, and are you able to get some ground balls and some fly balls and some things earlier that allow you to stretch it, to face more hitters and get deeper into the game innings for us.
How have you seen Peyton develop since he's been able to get back on the mound over the last year?
He's been pretty dang good ever since we saw him back. He really was. It's similar to Volini. The curveball profile is different, and the slider is a little bit different, but it's similar stuff. Volini's obviously far more experienced in this whole thing and probably knows himself a little bit better. But you look at Manka and you hope to see as you move somebody that's physically capable of giving you long outings. It's a big, strong guy that commands multiple pitches. So you hope that at some point he can start and give you 5, 6, 7 innings. So the development has been good. It's been a short time, and it's the first time we've seen it. So I think he's learning more about what it'll feel like to finish the slider and maybe be a little bit more aggressive and intense with the slider. Mike and I were talking about during the game, it plays a little bit like Oxford's slider, but Oxford, all of a sudden that slider became 83, 84, 85, and that's different than 81. So I think that will come, and now that he's felt what this is like in a competitive setting here, in a game, I think it'll go a long way to teach him some things.
With the win today, you're 10-0 for the second straight year to start. The second straight year, you go back and look through Florida State baseball history, there are a ton of back-to-back 10-0 starts. I guess, what do you think the last few years has allowed your teams to hit the ground running, be so consistent early, and find ways to win every game to start the year?
Well, in college athletics, the recruitment and building a roster, that's a huge part of it. And trying to add the right players and athletes so that your roster is competitive. It starts with that. And then when you actually get to the point where you're playing, you hope you've aligned things so that you have the capabilities to, from pitch one of the season, play sharp, clean, good baseball. And you hope you're talented enough to allow the team to be pretty dynamic. Then you hope that you stay healthy. And we've clearly battled it. Every position player we had was in the game today, really, to play. And there's a guy that we don't want to burn a red shirt if somebody's not going to play, but we essentially emptied the tank today. So we're not completely healthy. So that's part of it. When you start the season, you hope that you're healthy, and then you hope that you can hold serve and keep the right guys on the field. The guys take this very seriously. They know in college baseball, in any college sport, for that matter, like how you perform from day one, it does matter and it adds up, and those wins accumulate. And if you're trying to build a resume, you have to grab every single win you can. It is not easy to win games. This schedule is difficult. These are winning teams that we play, and you have to be on point from pitch one of the season. And I will give our guys credit. When they walk out there on that field, there's some focus and intensity to wanting to perform for the team. And selfishly, individually a little bit, there's a lot at stake for these guys as they play. So I think the mixture of that, when you put it in the bowl and stir it up, like you come out and it's a pretty good look.
How much do you think BJ appreciates you challenging that call in an 11-0 game? Going to ninth
Tough
inning?
decision. I didn't want to show up the other team.
But at the same time, you have a player
You're right. That guy was giving it all he had down the line. That kid has been out here on top of what he has to go through for football. He's out here. That's the first time I've been in that situation, and I feel like I owe it to him. He gave it all he had down the line, and I just take the score of the game out of it. I'm not trying to show up the umpires or the other team. He thought he beat it. He gave you, who knows what he ran down the line. I wish I had timed it. It's probably a 4-1, rolling. And they're fighting. Like, these guys, quite frankly, at times, they don't care what the score is, man. They're just trying to play and compete and better their craft and help the team. So he probably did appreciate it. And I appreciate the effort that he's given us. And it has not been easy for him to navigate this calendar year as a student athlete trying to play both sports. So, yeah, I wasn't trying to show anybody up with that. And I hope it wasn't taken that way, but take score out of it, he earned that challenge.
You mentioned it earlier, but with the base running, what happened with Carnes and Fisher, and then also with Chase Williams?
We'd be here for the next hour. There's a lot of different ways you try to steal and why and when and how you do it and whether you actually do run or don't run, and there's some decisions in the count and who's at the plate and what the count would be if a row takes a pitch and it's now full, you're running anyway. There's just a lot to unpack, and it was just probably not a good decision on anyone's part, including myself. I might have asked a lot of people, and it was just a situation that we really hadn't encountered, but what we tried to do I felt like was right. We just didn't quite manage it, and it was something that's rare to feel or see. So it was my fault as much as anybody's, and I don't think he really got the jump he thought he was going to get, and he just probably should not have run, and then you go on to survive for the, I think it would have been a full count. So a lot there, but more my fault than anybody else's.
David's outing didn't go the way he wanted, but just what can you say about his journey to get back on the mound after the last year and a half or so he's been through?
He and Marlo, toughest two dudes I've ever coached. Like what they have gone through. We're talking multiple procedures to look at what he went through and how hard he had to rehab. Things that you would not ever expect you would have to rehab. I've been doing this a long time and around the game far longer than just coaching it. I've never seen an athlete have to battle through Marlo and then DB, what David Barrett had to go through to try to get his hand back where it was functioning properly. I felt for him for the better part of 2 years, and I just wanted him to go out there and taste it again. You can take the success and failure out of it for me today. He just needed to go out, and now I think the work that he's doing is more on track because of feeling what it actually felt like to be back in the game, and we can't recreate the adrenaline, the emotion that he felt. Very fortunate that he was out there, and he'll be better because of it, and man, he's been through a lot.
Coach, kind of like in terms of kind of going back to base running a little bit, like when you have guys who are aggressive, like they want to play hard, they are comfortable with stealing and all that type of stuff, how do you as a coach kind of balance them wanting to be aggressive, wanting to do that while also kind of keeping themselves safe and maybe not being too aggressive?
Apparently, I don't do a very good job of that. There's parts of the base running where there has to be a shutdown mechanism in the jumps and the things you're doing if you're just flat out base stealing. And today I was so concerned about Chase Williams. Like if you were here for batting practice, like the last swing of each one of his 5 rounds, I pulled the roll cage out of the way and actually moved the screen at first base and actually let him hit the ball and run through first base 5 times because clearly that had been an issue for him. So the combination of getting out of the box and getting going and then the finishing and not like jumping at the bag, that combination, I just wanted to see it and let him feel comfortable with it. So I'm trying new things. We have the sliding mats. They're old school things, but it's a safe way to learn how to slide. So we're trying to do things within the confines of their aggressiveness to teach them how to do things properly and stay safe. In the heat of battle, these guys are fighting for a lot. Like they're fighting to win games, they're fighting to be outstanding players, they're fighting to be eventual major league players. So there's things that spill over and you still see them do things that are very aggressive and might appear reckless, but I don't think it's out of the wrong mindset. It's just their attempt to be so good and so intense with the run game stuff. So we're trying, and I've tried some things in the last couple of years coaching the run game that are a little different. I know it didn't show up today, but I think over the long haul, if we can continue to manage it, I think it will be a strength of the team.